evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark, and I am one of the board adventurers. Today, we're going to be starting, again, another series. We like testing some of these out. We're going to do a tutorial and a rate the rulebook of one of our favorite games from last year, Acquire. We're going to show you how to do setup. We're going to kind of go over the rules set. And then at the very end, we're going to show you, I'm going to rate the rulebook on how well I think it'll teach you the game. With that being said, let's get to the table and we'll start the tutorial. To set up for a game of Acquire, the first thing you should do is you should lay the board out in the middle of the table. Give each player one of these player reference panels and flip it to the side that you want to use for each of the players. The difference is that one side is classic that only gives 2 rewards and the other side gives 3. Give one out to each player. Take all of the tiles and put them into the box face down. Assign someone as the banker that will divide up all of the currency out into 100, 500, 5,000, and 1,000. Give each player $6,000, 4,000 in 1,000, 1,500 in fives, and 500 in ones. Now you're going to decide who goes first. In a 4-player game, each person is going to draw 1 tile, so there'll be 4 tiles out on the board. The person that goes first is the person that's highest up to 1A going down. So in this case, the person that has 5E will go first and then proceed clockwise from that person, even though, say, the person that has 5G is 2 ahead of them. Each player will then draw 6 building tiles and pull them face up so that they can read them. This will be kept secret. So now you've set up the game for Acquire. Let's get into how you actually play the game and what you need to do to win. To win Acquire, you need to have the most amount of money at the end of the game. So how do you get the most money? That's a good question. On your turn, you do the following 3 things in order. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to play a tile out on the board. You're going to play the tile based on where that number and letter is, and you're going to place the corresponding building tile on that location. If you ever place a building tile next orthogonally adjacent to another tile, you'll immediately create a new hotel. When you create a new hotel, you're going to take a founder's fee stock and you're going to place it, you're going to take that with you. This also works if you create a set of 3 or more. So if this connects this set of 3, you'll create a new one and create a set of 3, and you'll still get 1 for the founder's fee. Now we're going to get into the heart of this game, which is the merge mechanic. If you ever were to place a tile between 2 different hotel chains, you'll create what's called a merger. You're going to check which building is larger, and the smaller building, this orange one, which has 2 tiles, will get acquired by the hotel that has 3 because it's a larger hotel chain. In the case where you have two hotels that have the same amount in their chain, the person that plays the tile will get to choose which one gets acquired. So in this case, I could choose to have acquired yellow into orange. When a merger occurs like this, you're going to reference your player board. So your player board, the first thing you're going to see is the smaller building that's being acquired. So in this case, the orange building of 2 is being acquired. Your board here is going to say an orange building at 2, and you're going to check who has the most, second most, and third most of these stock cards in their possession. Whoever has the most will receive, in this case, at a spacing of 2, they will receive $4,000, and then they will take that money from the bank and then add that into their own personal supply. Second place will take $3,000, and then the last place will take 2. If there's ever a tie between the top players, so meaning that multiple people have the most amount of stock, let's say in this example we have two players that are tied for first. They'll take 4,000 and 3,000, which is the secondary. They're going to take it divided by 2, and each player will receive 3,500 as opposed to the full 4,000. If there's ever a tie for secondary, then they'll take the secondary and the tertiary, take that amount total and divide by the number of tied players as well. If there's ever a tie for tertiary, you'll take the $2,000 and divide that by the total amount of players that tie for tertiary. So in the sense of this one, if I have 3 players tied for $2,000, then that means that's 2,000 divided by 3, which is 600 and change. You're going to round that up to the nearest 100, so each person will get $700. After you resolve a merger, you are then, starting with the person that creates the merger, are going to perform one of the following 3 things, and that's based on the player board that you have here. So you'll see that you have an orange that has 2 in its building lot. So that you're going to reference again 2, and you're going to come into this middle number here. You can do one of 3 things after a merger occurs. The first thing is that, say for example, I have 4, and I'm the person that created the merger. I can either keep all of these stocks for a later time in the off chance that the hotel will be refounded, or the second thing I can do is I can sell each one of these stocks for $400, meaning that these 4 at $400 will give me $1,600. The last thing I can do is I can take any 2 of the hotel that is being absorbed, in this case the orange, and convert it into 1 yellow. If at any point any hotel has 11 building tiles in its area, meaning that this orange gets built out 9 more tiles, it cannot be merged into another building. Meaning that if yellow built out 11 and orange had built out 11, then any tile that will go in between them can no longer be placed. That's what happens after you do perform a merger action and resolve it. So what happens after that? So you're going to look at whatever's left on the board. The next thing you could do after you've placed a tile and resolved any mergers is you can buy up to 3 stocks in any of the available hotels out on the board. In this case, you can only buy from orange and from yellow. When you want to buy stock in each of the colors, you'll reference again this board. So in this case, because yellow has 3, it comes over yellow to 3. Each stock that you want to buy is worth $300 in this example. Orange only has 2, so that means you would have to come down from orange down, and you'll see that it's at 400. So each stock will actually be 100 more than a yellow. You can buy in any combination up to 3, meaning that I could choose to purchase 3 yellow stock, 1 yellow stock, and 2 orange, or any other combination of yellow and orange for that turn. After you've bought your stock in any available hotels, the last thing you'll do on your turn is you're going to draw 1 tile from the box, and you're going to draw back up to 6. Going back to the rule where if any hotel has 11 and 11 and any tiles in between cannot be placed, you're going to check your tiles. If any of those tiles fall in that area where it can't be played, they will immediately get discarded, and you'll draw back up to 6. If you draw back up and there's still another tile that's unavailable, you must wait until your next turn for you to discard them. The game ends in one of 2 ways. When any one building will get 41 tiles on the board, the game will end immediately. The second is if there are multiple hotel chains that cannot be merged together, a player can freely decide to stop the game at any time, because nothing can get absorbed. When they do that, you will go into final scoring. Final scoring consists of, again, this board. You're going to take any of the hotels that are still available on the board, and you're going to count the number in their chain. You're then going to determine the primary, secondary, and tertiary bonuses again that we had described earlier. And then you're going to sell all of the stock that you have for that hotel chain based on the rate that's on this board. Everyone will then add up all the money that they have, and whoever has the most will win the game. If there's more than one person that has the most amount of money, then the victory is shared. That's how you play Acquire. Let's get back up and rate the rulebook. And that is our tutorial for Acquire. Now we're going to get into the rating the rulebook. Now, in the game, it's going to come with one of these little pamphlets, or like a rulebook. And we're just going to go over what I think are the good things about it and some of the bad things, maybe something that could be done a little better. But in general, the Acquire rulebook is very straightforward. I like rulebooks that kind of give you a setup straight right from the beginning. It gives you kind of turn order and what you do in your turn. So if you see from our tutorial, we went straight from you first place the tile, which is what you have in front of you. Then it goes straight into what happens when you place a tile next to another tile. And then what happens if there's a merger. One of the things I do like about it is the structure for everything. I love having setup in the very beginning of the book. I don't like filler too much in my rule books, so this is definitely a plus right here. It definitely goes into how you play straight away, which is another good thing because you want to set up and start the game right from the get-go. One thing I do find a little curious is that they do go from after you put in the tile and then you've created a merger, it goes straight to the end where you draw a building tile and then proceeds to tell you about how you distribute stockholder bonus whenever a merger occurs. Ideally for me, I'd like to have that explained before I skip to the next step. But for me, that it was still like a relatively seamless kind of transition into it. And then finally, it tells you how to win the end of the game, and it tells you kind of like clarifying issues as to how if there's a tie or if there's what happens when multiple people will tie. All in all, if I was to rate this with these rate the rulebooks, we're going to be going out of 5. I would give this rulebook a 4 out of 5. Very solid rulebook, very straightforward, not a lot of filler, which I do like in my rulebooks. That is the rulebook for Acquire.